What's up, everybody? This is the SOS Stacey on Sports Podcast Show. You'll tune in with the main host, Stacey Carter II. With me, I got Korea Lewis and Nora Urudia. What's up, y'all?
Hey, what's up? We back at it this week, baby.
Let's go. We back at it. And these episodes will not be our traditional episodes where we find topics and we just talk about it. We are strictly talking about the NFL. Just came off a fantastic Super Bowl. We decided to put together an all-time teams tournament where we take the best teams in NFL history, put them in a bracket. We're going to pick the winners, and then we're going to have that one ultimate team. The caveat for this, however, we didn't pick teams from way back then. We're looking at from 90s on to the current day. Because we got to show love to the current teams. Now, we already know about the old teams, them 70s Steelers and all that. So we just focus on a little bit more modern twist. We're going to talk about each matchup. We got 5 different rounds. Going to talk about each matchup. We're going to pick the winner, and then they're going to move on to the next round. I would say there are 8 teams that have a bye right now. And you can see the 8 teams on the bottom of the screen. And the reason why they have a bye is because they had the 8 best records out of all the teams that we picked, which is 24 in total. So, with all that being said, are we ready? Are we ready for our tournament? We ready? All right. Let's play. All right. So, the first matchup in our bracket in the first round is the 2018 Philadelphia Eagles going against the 2000 Baltimore Ravens.
Oof. Jeez.
Yeah, all these matchups going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So, which team are we going to pick out of those two? Korea, who you got, the 2000 Ravens or the Eagles?
So, all right. So, this one, like you said, Stacey, it's a real good matchup. But as a Steelers fan, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to go for the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Feel like that team was really solid, in my opinion. They also finished with a 12-4 record that year. And they also had Marvin Lewis as their defensive coordinator back then. I feel like the Ravens that year, they had a pretty good offense, and their defense was pretty good too. They had Ray Lewis, and as you guys know, Ray Lewis is like one of the best. That year, they had ranked 22 on 100 greatest teams of all time, which was presented by the NFL. We all know that, program. And I feel like in my opinion, they just had a real good roster. So yeah.
All right, one vote for the 2000 Ravens. Noah, who you voting for? The 2000 Ravens or the Eagles? 2018.
2000 Ravens, easy on this one, I think. I don't think it's close. I think I read a stat saying that that year's Ravens defense had like the NFL record for least amount of yards, I think rushing yards allowed and the least amount of points allowed in the season. That was like with Ray Lewis, primetime Lewis. And then Trent Dilfer at the quarterback position.
Trent
Dilfer. And then I think that was Jamal Lewis too, if I'm not mistaken.
That was Jamal Lewis.
Yeah, that team was that team on the paper was pretty OP, so I gotta go 2000 Ravens.
Well, since y'all two picked the Ravens, if I would have picked the Eagles, it wouldn't matter because they would go on to the next round. But I would cast my vote for the 2000 Ravens. I know nostalgia is a thing for me when it comes to this. That Eagles team was okay, but I can't ignore the historic run that Ravens team went on. That defense was vicious. Vicious defense. Don't forget they had Shannon Sharp at tight end. Like we just mentioned, Jamal Lewis and running back. Now, the downside is, their passing game was not that good, but back then, if you had a smash mouth team that know how to run the ball and play defense, you were going a long way. And then also, I am drawn to that. I don't know if y'all saw the documentary on this team. I think it was called The Bullies of Baltimore or something like that. I might have been wrong about it, but they was talking about how the year went with, and then they also pay homage to Tony Saragusa, who unfortunately passed away some time ago. But I got to go with the 2000 Ravens on this. So it's a clean sweep. We all picked the 2000 Ravens. They will move on to the next round. All right, second matchup. It's the 2010 Packers versus the 1999 St. Louis Rams at this time. Now, y'all already know who I'm picking, but I got to know. Y'all already know, and y'all know why. So, Korea, who you picking, the Packers or the Rams?
So, Stacey, don't be
make the right choice.
Don't be mad at me, okay? This one was actually like, oh my goodness. So I actually had a little bit of a hard time trying to decide between these two.
I don't know why.
Well, I know why. But these teams, they both, I feel like the 99 Rams, they had a good year, of course. Green Bay Packers, but I'm going to have to go with the Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry, Stacey. But that's because the Packers, you know, I saw, like, as you guys know, like the Super Bowl against, you know, the Steelers and the Packers, like we talked about in a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Super Bowl in that episode. I do feel like the Green Bay Packers back in 2010, they were a pretty legit, you know, team, in my opinion. And they finished with a 10-6 record. I mean, not too bad. But they did finish second place in the NFC North, and also all 6 of their regular season losses were by a combo of 20 points, I believe. So yeah, they did into the playoffs as the NFC's 6th seed. And they did beat the Eagles in the wild card round, and then they also beat the Falcons in the divisional round. But Mike McCarthy, he was the head coach back then. You know, we know him. So yeah, I would have to go with the Packers. Sorry, Stacey. Wah, wah, wah.
Now, let me go ahead and get the second pick. First of all, it's a tie now because, of course, I'm going with the 99 Rams.
Well, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
How the hell you going to pick against the greatest show on turf? Do I need to say, Matt, let me say the names since this is what we're doing here. We going the wrong direction already on this show early on in this tournament. Let me tell you, Kurt Warner, who was the MVP in the regular season and in the Super Bowl, one of the few quarterbacks to do that. Marshall Faulk, one of the best underrated running backs of all time. Isaac Bruce, Torrey Hope, defense. You had Leonard Little, you had Grant Wistrom, you had Mike Jones, who had that saving tackle against the Tennessee Titans right there at the 1-yard line. Woo! One of the greatest offenses of all time in NFL history. You gonna pick the 10-6, the Packers who went 10-6, barely got in the playoffs. Now they did win the Super Bowl. I'll give them that. They won the Super Bowl. They got it. But look at the regular season. They had 6 losses. I think my Rams went like 14-2. And this is what you do? This is what you do? Are we being serious, right? Do you see the hat? I'm going with the 99 Rams. 99 Rams, easy.
I'm colorblind.
They would smash this Packers team. This Packers team was, 99 Rams. Noah, bring it home. Break the tie. Who you got?
Yeah, you said it as well, Stacey. I got to go with the Rams on this one.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I was gonna say like the 2010 Packers was definitely a great team. Like I just think if they, like you said, if they had a better regular season, because they were a 6th seed winning the Super Bowl, dog. That in itself is pretty crazy, but still, like against the 14-2 Rams though, like yeah, and plus like I feel like the Rams had a bit of a better offense, honestly. Because Kurt Warner that was his like MVP run year, like you said. That offense had a lot more weapons. Was that the year that Marshall Faulk went 1,000 yard rushing, 1,000 receiving? Was that the same year he did that?
I don't think so. I don't even think he had 1,000-yard rushing receiving. He might, but I don't think he did.
Oh, okay. I feel like he would have, but anyway,
I can check on that, but
okay. But yeah, I gotta go with the Rams on that one. Their playoff run was pretty crazy. Like I said, the main thing for me was that if the Packers had a better like regular season, I might would have like would have made it harder choice for me on that one.
I don't give a damn if Packers went 16-0 in the regular season. They not beating this team. They just not. It's just not going to happen.
And this is a little side note, but Marshall Faulk's son went to school with me, and I took a couple classes with him when I went to Dominguez Hills.
Oh, nice. And then you going to go against that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then to confirm, in that 99 season, Marshall Faulk did have 1,300 yards rushing and over 1,000 yards receiving. So that was the season. That was the season.
Yeah, then the 99 Rams easy.
Yeah, so Korea, who's the running back of the Packers at that time? Look at that. See, look at that. 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 I'm going to call you out on it. I'm going to call you out on it.
Was that James Starks or something? Who was that running back?
Nobody worry about no damn James Starks. Nobody worry about James Starks. I don't even know. Let's move on. Let's move on. Next matchup. This is a good one right here, y'all.
This is a good one.
Yeah, and these two teams are close together as far as yours. We got the 2006 Colts going against the 2008 Steelers. I feel like I know where this is going, but let's talk about it anyway. Korea, who you got?
Okay, so I'm going to go for my boys, the Steelers, okay? You already know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get to the nitty-gritty now. Basically, so Bruce Arians, he was the offensive coordinator at the time, and Dick LeBeau was the defensive coordinator. Oh my gosh, those guys, I miss those guys low-key. But I mean, they started. That's another story. I'm just gonna get.
Let's focus on positive.
But anyways, the Steelers, they ended the regular season 12-4, and so they finished first in the AFC North, which was really nice. And back then we had Palomalu, which was my guy, and he got me into being a Steeler fan. And then we had Debo and we had James Ferrier. Oh my gosh, I love those fools. I miss those guys, man. I really do. Yeah. So basically, it's an obvious, Steelers were killing it in my opinion, they were killing it that year. And they entered the season as defending champions of the AFC North. And that was back in 2007, the year before. And so they were considered Super Bowl contenders, obviously, at the time. And Tomlin, that was like, I think his second season at the time with the Steelers. And so he was selected as Motorola Coach of the Year. And also Debo was named NFL Defensive Player of the Year, which was pretty cool. So I'm going for the Steelers, hands down. Why would I not go for the Steelers?
Hands down. Wasn't back then, at least the Steelers had the 3-4 defense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing on Madden and everything. But yeah, that was a good team. Noah, who you got? The Steelers, 08 or the 06 Colts?
This is a tough one, huh?
Yeah.
Gotta go 08 Steelers, baby. I just
have to.
It was a steel curtain era, man, and it's just hard to beat for me, man. That defense was fucking unreal. Like no one could fucking I'm sorry, like that Super Bowl was probably the best Super Bowl I've seen in a while. To this day, one of them at least. It's just that team is so. I will say though, the 2006 Colts, Peyton had a better year compared to 08 Ben. I think Peyton had like 4,300 yards and Ben had like 3,300, something like that. But that 2006 Colts is still a really good team. That they won the Super Bowl that year still against the Bears. They also finished first their division. But yeah, I gotta go Steelers.
Yeah. Well, once again, my pick don't matter because it's gonna be 2 against 1. But once again, I am going side with y'all. I am going to go with the 08 Steelers.
Yeah, you better.
That Steelers defense way back then was just nasty. The 3-4 defense had 4 good linebackers at the time. Of course, you had Big Ben in his prime, or at least he was cooking. He was getting out there. I think Hines Ward still was on his team.
Yeah.
Hines Ward, Antonio.
Yes. Yeah. And what was y'all tight end name back then?
Heath Miller.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Heath Miller.
Yeah.
Heath Miller was an underrated type. Yeah. I remember the
Heath.
Heath. I remember that.
Yep.
And then I think
and we had
still
Kiesel too. Brett Kiesel was there too. Fear the Beard. Sorry.
Oh, that must be a fan thing because I remember Brett Kiesel.
You remember him? Oh wow.
No. But I was gonna bring up also you had back then Alan Faneca, right? Who's a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Steelers on this one. All right, let's move on. We got the Chiefs and 49ers again, but this time different year. Well, we got the 2024 Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl going against the 2011 San Francisco 49ers. So who we got out of that? Korea.
So I'm gonna have to say this one was pretty kind of like, when I was thinking about it, but I'm gonna go with the 2011 Niners. I'm gonna go with them because to me, I feel like back then the Niners were solid. They had a real good, team on their hands. Jim Harbaugh was their head coach back then. And that was when they were playing at their old field at Candlestick Park. And they finished the regular season with a 13-3 record, which was not that bad at all. They finished with first in the NFC West, which was great. And obviously they were in the playoffs crushing it, obviously. And I remember when they had Patrick Willis on that team, they had Navarro Bowman. Oh my gosh, those guys were so good. I remember those guys. They were so good. And I also remember Frank Gore too, who's one of the running backs.
Yeah. Frank Gore.
Oh my gosh. So they had a real good team back then. And, in my opinion, their defense was killer. Like they had a real strong team back then. And honestly, I would prefer the Niners team back then than it is now, in my opinion. And I feel like the Niners, they had fewest rushing yards in the league, and they did set an NFL record for fewest rushing touchdowns. And they were the 31st in the league in third down conversion percentages as well. So I think that's pretty impressive. So yeah, go for the Niners.
All right, one for the Niners. Noah, who you got? Chiefs or Niners?
I got the Chiefs on this one, Stace. Yeah, I will say, Korea, dude, that defense on the Niners was nasty. That defense is just real. That defense alone just got them out so many games, especially in that postseason. I think that was the same year they played the Saints in Candlestick, that wild game, where Vernon Davis caught that touchdown in the last minute. But yeah, I gotta go the Chiefs just because if these two teams played against each other, I'm not counting against Mahomes here. It's just that's just simple. He's already proven me to that point so many times already, so it's I can't go against it. That's just my opinion though.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs too as well, just because it's Pat Mahomes. When it comes down to it, you got Pat Mahomes going against Alex Smith. I mean, who you gonna pick? Who you picking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though that 49ers, 49ers, 2011 to now, they had pretty much the same team, but every time it always comes down to the quarterback. Can the quarterback win the game? You got Alex Smith, then you got Brock Purdy now. So it's is there really a difference between the two if these two teams were to play? And then this year's Chiefs defense is much better than years past. Pat Mahomes, still doing work. Guys, Ed Pacheco. So I'm going with the Chiefs. Going with the Chiefs. All right, Chiefs to the next round. Who we got next? Oh, here we go. We about to have.
Great. We're gonna have
some fun with these matchups. We about to have some fun. Let's go. Let's do it. 2017 Steelers going against the 2021 Rams.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. Come on, Korea. Who you got?
So I feel like you already know who I'm gonna go with, Stacey.
Oh my God.
I feel like the Rams. I'm sorry.
I should have put in the notes no bias picks.
Yeah. See,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I said no bias pick, Siri.
So
sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
See, Siri doesn't agree with you. See,
I don't know why Siri is acting up.
Must be because
go.
I'm just kidding. So I'm gonna have to say, my boys, I'm gonna roll with them. 2017 Pittsburgh Steelers. I do feel like the Rams, they were pretty solid back then as well, but I'm gonna go for the Steelers. They ended the season 13-3. And they ended first in the AFC North. That was back when we had Le'Veon Bell, my bad. I remember when we had Roosevelt. He was the fullback. We had Antonio Brown. We also had Big Al. We had David DeCastro. We had Pouncey, and we still have Hayward. And then we had Shazier. And honestly, Shazier, I believe this was like before he got his back injury. But I had a lot of respect for Shazier. I just felt like he was a good player back then. He just would put in his all into most of the games that he would play. At least he would try to. I remember week 14, we did beat the Ravens by a point. We did beat them 39-38. And that game was like a good game. It was a real good game. I feel like we just swept the whole division out that year. And that was one of the best seasons that they had in a while. So I would go with the Steelers.
All right, you got one for the 17 Steelers. Noah, who you got?
I'm gonna be honest here, man. I gotta give this one to the Rams. Yeah, I can't be biased here, like you said, so I gotta be true. I will. The only thing that's making me choose the Rams over this year's Steelers team is because the Rams won the Super Bowl that year. The Steelers fucked up in playoffs. It's as simple as that. Well, they fucked up. I'm sorry.
I feel
like
some
that.
personal dig at that one.
Oh, it is. Like, dude, it's like, dude, that they literally everyone knew that we were supposed to win that year. Let's be honest here. Like, dude, like Le'Veon had like 1,300 rushing yards. AB had over like 1,500 receiving yards. Like, how is it not done? I'm sorry.
Yeah. But y'all lost to the Jaguars, right?
Yep, scored 42 points at home. Still lost to the Jaguars. Yep. That was TJ Watt's rookie year. But yeah, it's the Rams. I got to give it to them. They actually got it done. So I think their defense, unlike ours in the playoffs, actually held up some games. So and just I think the first year them getting Stafford really like boosted up their franchise. And then Cup, that was the year Cup had that Triple Crown year, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
and didn't win MVP for some stupid ass reason. Well, I know what the reason is.
They gave it to Rodgers that year.
Yeah, they gave it to Rodgers.
Yeah, but I got to give it to the Rams on that one, man.
Yeah, all right. We got one Rams, one.
Thank you.
We got one Rams, one Steelers. All right. All bias aside, here go my pick. All bias aside. When you break it down, you look at it analytically and everything, where these teams went, all bias aside, I'm going with the Rams. Like you just said, no, Steelers didn't get it done that year. Even though they had a pretty good team, 13-3 ain't nothing to sneeze at. When you lose to the Jaguars, 42-45, I think, who's the quarterback then? Blake Bortles? You lost to Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
You lost to Blake Bortles. Blake freaking Bortles. At home.
Blake Bortles, dude.
Versus the Rams. The Rams got it done. Now, I would say I would pick that Steelers defense over the Rams, because the Rams defense that year was ranked 17th. We gave up a lot of yards. We had basically a bend don't break defense. But when it came down to they'll make some plays. Jalen Ramsey get a stop. Aaron Donald get a sack. Matter of fact, that's how they won the Super Bowl. That's how they clinched it, where Aaron Donald had the sack on Joe Burrow. But, offensively, definitely taking the Rams offense. I'm going with the Rams. All right, Rams moving on. Oh, this the one I was waiting on. This is the debate of this round right here. I don't know. We might spend some hours on this one. We got the 1994 49ers Yeah, the 1994 49ers against the 1993 Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Whew. I don't know how we gonna. Oh man, Korea, go first if you can.
Let Noah go first. I'm just kidding. Well, like you said, Stacey, this one was this one was real tough for me to choose from. But I feel like both teams, they did pretty good and stuff like that. But I'm gonna have to go with the 93 Cowboys on this. Because they had Jimmy Johnson as their head coach back then, and they won back-to-back Super Bowl titles too in the 90s. And so, as you guys know, they finished the regular season with a 12-4 record, first in the NFC East. You guys know that as their quarterback, they had Troy Aikman. Troy, you gotta love Troy. And then they had Michael Irvin as their receiver and Emmitt Smith. I love Emmitt Smith, by the way. But they had him on that team, and I feel like they had a pretty good offense, in my opinion. Their offense was pretty dang good. They had some good weapons on that team. And apparently I read that the Cowboys that year, they ranked 23 on 100 greatest teams of the NFL. So that sort of says something in a way. I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys on this one.
One for the Cowboys. Noah, who you got?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Korea. I gotta go with this one with the Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson, like you said, Korea winning back-to-back years that year. I think the offense was more dynamic too, with them having Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin compared to Steve Young, Ricky Watters, and Jerry Rice.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to. This is a very hard decision too. I'm not gonna lie. Both teams are great. I will say this: if the Niners had Montana in this year, it's that would have made it tougher for me.
Me too. I agree.
Yeah. So, but yeah, 93 Cowboys.
All right. So it's 2-0. Obviously, the Cowboys will move on our bracket, but I would have picked the Cowboys too because they had the more dynamic players, the more memorable team. Even though honestly, I would pick Steve Young over Troy Aikman.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would do because Steve Young that year had a 70% completion percentage, which was unheard of back then. Pretty much unheard of. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. All right. Speaking of the Cowboys, here they go right back again. This time, 1995 Cowboys going against the 98 Broncos. I know Matt gonna be hearing this one, gonna be watching this one. What we gonna do with the Broncos? So, are we gonna disappoint Matt or make him happy? Korea.
So this one was a little bit tough for me, to be honest, Stacey. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like both of these teams, in the years, I feel like, in my opinion, they both, they both did what they could, honestly. But I feel like the Cowboys, like you said, I completely agree with you guys. What we just said moments ago about they had the most memorable team back in the early 90s. But for this one, I'm going to say the Denver Broncos, the 98 Broncos for this one. I do feel like the Broncos, they did also have a couple good guys too, well-known names, of course, as well. Broncos, they did finish 14-2 that year, which was good. First in the AFC West. They had John Elway as their quarterback. Good guy, They also had Shannon Sharp as their tight end. And honestly, those two names are the most memorable that I can think of, and Terrell Davis as well, Mm-hmm. And so, the Broncos, they won their first 13 games. And also that's the best start since the Dolphins in 1972. And it was also a memorable year for the Broncos as well, because that's the year that Elway retired. And so he played in the NFL for 16 seasons, and after 16 seasons, with the Broncos, he did finish with the Broncos with a lot of yards and and also 300 touchdowns as well. And so basically, like John Elway, he had a big role in the Broncos offense, obviously. And also Terrell Davis as well. He basically set a team single season rushing mark. And he also put up a lot of yardage as well. So I'm going to have to go with the 98 Broncos. All right. And Matt's going to be real happy when he sees it.
One for the Broncos. Noah, who you going with?
Matt, you're welcome, buddy. Because I'm going with the Broncos on this one as well, man.
There we go.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, I was looking back on like their playoff run, to be specific too. That was when they crushed the Dolphins and Dan Marino. I think that's like a slept-on stat right there. Like right out the gate for the Broncos, they automatically just 38-3. It's like, dude,
Dan Marino.
Yeah. And then yeah, that was the year that Terrell Davis had over 2,000 rushing yards, if I'm not mistaken. They had that. They had Ed McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's dad, and Shannon Sharp balling out with Elway. And they had that mean Steve Atwater at safety, huh? Woo!
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring up Steve Atwater.
Dude, nasty fucking safety, dude. But yeah, I just think I mean, don't get me wrong, the 95 Cowboys was still a good team.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm definitely choosing Elway though to win the game over Troy Aikman. Like, to be honest, like Troy Aikman, like he was an all right quarterback talent wise, but he was a great leader though. That's what I get from Troy Aikman. But yeah, 98 Broncos.
Yeah, and I was gonna go with the 98 Broncos too.
Noah, good job.
They had an underrated wide receiver, in my opinion, one of the most underrated wide receivers in history, Rod Smith. Rod Smith put up stats back then. I was gonna mention Steve Atwater. Know about John Elway going out on top, which would have been everybody's dream. Everybody wants to go out on top, and he one of the few people that lived it as a legend. Going with the Broncos on this one. All right, last matchup of this round. Now, I think this is a great matchup for two teams. I think this is a great one. Got the 2002 Buccaneers going against the 2013 Seahawks.
Ooh, my Lord.
Yeah, I think this is the one that's like kind of even, almost even down the middle.
Yeah.
So let's go. Who we got? Korea.
Well, Stacey, like you said, this one was a little bit tough because 2002 Buccaneers at the time finished 12-4. They had Simeon Rice as their defensive end. They had Warren Sapp. We all know Warren Sapp. Also John Lynch, right? Those top 8. But, geez, man. Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna have to go for the Seahawks on this one, because they had the Legend of Boom at the time, and the Seahawks were killer. I feel like they were a great team, and of course, they had Pete Carroll, just retired. They ended their season 13-3, and also Seattle's defense back then was like one of the best. They were like one of the top 5 defense in the league. So I will say that I'll go for the Seahawks for this one.
All right, one for the Seahawks. Noah, who you got?
Ah, man, this is a tough one, guys.
Tell me about it.
It's just because both okay. I think we can all agree that the Seahawks had the slightly better defense here. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I think
like
so.
I think it's down the middle.
Yeah,
I think it's down the middle.
Again, it's slight. It's like 51-49 to me.
I think I would take the Buccaneers front 7 over the Seahawks, but I'm taking the Seahawks DBs over there slightly over the Buccaneers.
Definitely Legion of Boom over the okay. Yeah, I agree with that part. That's fair. It's just the offense is really like, oh man, that's tough, man, because the Seahawks didn't have a receiver that go over 800 yards that year, and they still won the Super Bowl. Like Russell Wilson was freaking, and then Marshawn Lynch was just running over people. And then the Bucks had Brad Johnson and Keyshawn.
Yeah, it was Brad Johnson. Yeah,
and Keyshawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they both have Hall of Fame coaches too. The Bucks had Gruden, Seahawks had Carroll. This is a toss-up, guys.
You want me to pick?
You know what? I'll go Bucks here, man. Honestly, yeah, I'll go Bucks here. I think Gruden had his way with them, and he was really running shit. The Seahawks, the Seahawks DBs, like that Legion of Boom was probably some of the best defensive units we'll see in a while. But I'll give it to the Bucks for their better offense slightly.
I got to break the tie, huh? I got to break the tie. Like I said, the defense is splitting hairs. If you don't know about the Bucs defense, their defensive backfield was led by John Lynch, who we already mentioned, and Rondé Barber. Remember, Rondé Barber was a great corner. Rondé Barber was a great corner. Like Korea mentioned, Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice. I'm going to roll with the Seahawks. I think they have, the better running back here, Marshawn Lynch versus, I believe, Warwick Dunn. And obviously, I'm taking Russell Wilson over Brad Johnson. So... And then I'm taking Pete Carroll as a coach over John Gruden because John Gruden
that's how I feel too.
He completely was an ass when it came to the Raiders, his last stint. So I'm going with the Seahawks.
And I was gonna say real quick, but that's one of the reasons why I chose the Seahawks too. Because honestly, besides the whole coaching thing, I feel like the Seahawks were bad back then. Like they were so good, like Legion of Boom and they were just so strong back then, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love watching. Even though I'm a Rams fan, I respect the hell out of Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. Those were two nasty safeties.
Oh yeah,
nasty safety duo, dude.
Sure.
Yeah.